Okay, now we're going to finish the headstock with the template that we made when we did the front. The difference here is the little point in the back, the transition between the neck and the headstock that we've got to cut out here on the template. So I'm just going to make some marks there where the transition begins. Then I'm just going to measure the distance down to where that point ends. And then mark that off on the template. And then I'm going to just lay this out and rough in where this transition happens. I'm going to find the center point there. Just kind of connect the dots here, and you'll have that little triangle that forms that transition. Now I'm just going to cut it out with an X-Acto knife. And you should end up with a piece like this. And then I'm just going to test the fit here and make any adjustments that I need. And now we need to make some marks here where the outer piece and the binding are going to connect. We need to get those widths marked off so that we can carve this back, and that way our binding and our outer cherry piece will fit flush with that transition. Then I'm just going to round out those curves, and then you can see here what I'm talking about with leaving a little gap there for the binding in that outer piece. And then you should have it marked out like this, where the inside of that V is going to be in the outside curves. And again, cut those lines out with the X-Acto knife. And you should have a template here that looks like this, and will fit on the headstock. And you can see here how we've left room for that binding to go in. And again, I'm going to take a piece of that rosewood, and there's a nice streak in the grain here. I'm going to line that up and trace out my template. And you can see here where the sort of the figure in that wood and that real dark streak lines up with the center line. So the grain on the back here should look really nice. Then you want to cut that out with a coping saw. And then just smooth out the saw marks and the edges with some sandpaper. And now that inside V can be a little tough to sand to get a real nice sharp point. So I'm just going to take a razor knife here and sort of finish that up some. And then we want to glue it in place with some wood glue. And I'm just going to put some scrap wood here to protect the veneer and clamp this down in place. Make sure you've got some nice even pressure all the way around, and you've got an equal spacing. Okay, once it's dry, you want to put your binding and outer edge on it just like we did on the front. You can see the binding and purfling there will match what you have here on the back. and then sand it all flush.